If you need, you can just hand over the mobile to the just taking some photograph. Okay. Jonathan, can you take some photographs?
Wait,
You go there. You can take the first step over there. Okay. Okay, it's okay. Okay, you come.
That you just take photographs.
Yes. That was my school. Yeah, I studied in high school.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you.
Here's our principal, madam. He's the one who did head operations in the team, and also like other all the teachers. Kind of caption. So while we are discussing the kind of need, so while the teachers are welcoming here, so they are using it. Yes. Sir, very good morning. These are the former artists that we are trying to one of my good friends.
Excellent, excellent.
As winner, Mrs. Valentina Hoover. To commemorate this historic occasion, we have prepared to plan a summer run at this place. This is the honorable This place has been created in Eheliyagoda Space Center. This is the Astrobiologist and the Space Center is identified. To cater for long-term growth, 1962. making this occasion memorable.
Special fruits in Sri Lanka. They are creating that students are removing the front of the special subjects and the next computer area. But like only like the it's in a very short. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. Right. Spanner. So that we will just do
ආයුබෝවන් සුබ උදෑසන. මම මේ වෙලාවේ රැඳිලා ඉන්නේ ඇහැලියගොඩ ජාතික පාසලේ විද්‍යා අංශයේ. අද දවස ඇහැලියගොඩ ජාතික පාසලට ඒ වගේම විද්‍යා අංශයට බොහොම සුවිශේෂී දවසක්. ඒ තමයි නාසා ආයතනයේ සේවය කරපු ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ මහාචාර්යවරයෙකු වෙච්ච ආචාර්ය රිචඩ් බී හූවර් මහතා. අද දිනේ අප විද්‍යාලයේ ඉඳපු දීප්තිමත් ආදි ශිෂ්‍ය ආචාර්ය අරවින්ද රවිභානු සුමන චන්ද්‍ර මහතාගේ ආරාධනයෙන් විද්‍යාලයට පැමිණලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මතක් කරන්න ඕනි විද්‍යාලයේ විද්‍යා අංශයට අද දවස සුවිශේෂී දවසක් කියලා මම ඔබට මුලින්ම සඳහන් කරානේ. ඒ වගේම විද්‍යාලයේ විද්‍යා අංශය තුල විශේෂ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් අද දිනේදී සංවිධානය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ගණිත සහ ජීව විද්‍යා යනුවෙන් අංශ දෙකකින් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන අපේ මේ විද්‍යා අංශය සුවිශේෂීතා රැසකින් සමන්විත වෙනවා. ඇත්තරම ගත්තොත් එහෙම නවීන විද්‍යාගාර පහසුකම් ඒ වගේම සිසුන්ට බොහොම නිස්කලංක වටපිටාවක ඉඳලා අධ්‍යාපනය හදාරන්න පුළුවන් අවස්ථාවක් විද්‍යා අංශය තුල හිමි වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මම ඔබට කිව්වා වගේ ගණිත සහ ජීව විද්‍යා කියන මේ අංශ දෙක හරහා සිසුන් 200කට අධික ප්‍රමාණයක් අධ්‍යාපනය හදාරනවා. ඒ වගේම සමාජිකයින් විශේෂයෙන්ම ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ සමාජිකයින් 20 දෙනෙකු පමණ ප්‍රමාණයක් විද්‍යා අංශය තුල සේවයේ නිරත වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මතක් කරන්න ඕනි විද්‍යා අංශය කියලා කියන්නේ දැනට අවුරුදු 50ක අර්ධ ශතක පූර්ණෝත්සවයකට හිමිකම් කියන අංශයක්. මොකද 1974 වර්ෂයෙන් පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ මේ වර්ෂය දක්වා විශේෂ වැඩපිළිවෙළවල් රැසකින් විද්‍යා අංශය සමන්විත වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම දීප්තිමත් නැත්නම් ප්‍රෞಢ ඉතිහාසයකට උරුමකම් කියන අංශයක් තමයි විද්‍යාලයේ විද්‍යා අංශය කියලා කියන්නේ. අපි මතක් කරන්න ඕනි විද්‍යාලයේ විද්‍යා අංශය ගැන මම මේ විදිහට සඳහන් කරනකොට 2013 වර්ෂය කියලා කියන්නේ අප විද්‍යාලයට බොහොම සුවිශේෂී අවුරුද්දක් බවට පත් වුණා. ඒ තමයි ඒ අවුරුද්දේ ජීව විද්‍යා අංශයේ දිවයිනේ ප්‍රථමය අපේ අමායා මහතන්තිල සොයුරිය ජීව විද්‍යා අංශයේ ප්‍රථම ස්ථානය හිමි කරගත්තා. ඒ වගේම දැන් ඇය ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ නමගිය වෛද්‍යවරියක් වශයෙන් වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒ වගේම බොහොම ජයග්‍රහණ රැසක් විද්‍යා අංශයට හිමි කර ගැනීමේ අවස්ථාව හිමි වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ කාලය පුරාවටම. ඒ වගේම අද දවසෙත් මම ඔබට කලින් සඳහන් කරා වගේ විශේෂ වැඩ කටයුත්තක් සංවිධානය වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඔබට මම මතක් කරන්න ඕනි විද්‍යාලයේ විද්‍යා අංශය කියන්නේ බොහොම දීප්තිමත් අතීතයකට උරුමකම් කියපු අංශයක්. ඒ වගේම දැන් මෙතනින් එහාට 2024 වර්ෂයෙන් පස්සෙත් බොහෝ වැඩ කටයුතු ප්‍රමාණයක් සංවිධානය වෙලා තියෙනවා. විද්‍යා අංශය තුල මේ ඉදිරි අනාගත වැඩ කටයුතු කොයි විදිහට සංවිධානය වෙන්න ඕනි කියන එක ගැන. හොඳයි මේ වෙලාවේ මම සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා අපේ තාරකා විද්‍යා සංගමයේ ඇස්ට්‍රොනොමි සොසයිටි එකේ ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට් චීෆ් ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට් ඒ සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. හොඳයි. අපි ඔහුව සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන ඔහුගෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කීපයක් අහලා බලමු. ආයිබෝවන්. මොකද හිතන්නේ මේ අද දවසේ මේ වැඩ කටයුත්ත ගැන? ඔබේ අදහස් දැනගන්න කැමතියි.
ඇත්තටම සතුටුයි. මොකද ඇත්තටම දැන් මේ වගේ ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් ලෝකෙම ජෛව තාරකා විද්‍යාඥයෙක් කියන්නේ ලෝකෙම අංක 1 තමයි මේ රොබර්ට් කෝ මහත්මයා කියන්නේ. ඉතින් ඇත්තටම අපේ ජීවිතේ සමහරවිට මේ වගේ අවස්ථාවක් ආයෙ හම්බෙන්නේ නැති වෙන්නේ නැති. මොකද මේ වගේ වැදගත් කෙනෙක් අපේ පාසලට ආපු එක ගැන. ඉතින් ගොඩක් සතුටුයි ප්‍රෙසිඩන්ට් විදියට මට ඔබේ පාසල ගැන.
ඒ වගේම මේ දැනගන්න කැමතියි ඔබෙන් මොන වගේ වැඩ කටයුතුද මේ වෙනකොට තාරකා විද්‍යා සංගමය තුල ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙලා තියෙන. ඒ වගේම තාරකා විද්‍යා සංගමයට මොන වගේ අභියෝග දැවිලා තියෙන්නේ මේ වැඩ කටයුතු සංවිධානය කරගෙන යනකොට.
ඔව් ඇත්තටම විශාන් දැන් මේ කියන්නේ අපි මේ වැඩ කටයුතුත් එක්ක තමයි ඇත්තටම තාරකා විද්‍යා සංගමය ආය ඇක්ටිව් තත්ත්වයට ආවේ. මොකද 2018න් පස්සේ හරියට අපෙන් ලොකුවට වැඩක් වුණේ නැහැ. ඒත් අපි ගිය දැන් සති කිහිපයකට කලින් 6 වසරේ ළමයිකින් පටන් ගත්තා ලොකු වැඩසටහන් ටිකක්. ඉතින් ගොඩක් සතුටුයි මේ අපේ තාරකා විද්‍යා සංගමයේ සමාජිකවෝ ඔක්කොම එක වගේ තමයි. ඉතින් අපිට ලොකු සපෝට් එකක් දුන්නා. ඒ වගේම තමයි අපි ළමයිට පොඩි ළමයිට සෙමිනාර්ස් වගේ දේවල් ගොඩක් දේවල් ඉතින් කරා මේකෙන්. ඉතින් අපි ඉස්සරහට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ගොඩක් වැඩ කටයුතු කරන්න ඉස්සරහට ලොකු බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා.
ඒ වගේම ඔබෙන් මේ තව ප්‍රශ්නයක් මම අහන්න කැමතියි විද්‍යා අංශය තුල ඔබ දකින සුවිශේෂීතා මොනවද? ඒ වගේම මේ මොන වගේ යහළු මිත්‍ර පිරිසක් ඔබට ආශ්‍රය කරන්න හම්බෙන්නේ? ඒ වගේම මේ ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලය ගැන ඔබේ අදහස් මම හිතනවා මොකද මේ තාරකා විද්‍යා අංශයේ සභාපතිවරයා ඒ වගේම ඔබත් විද්‍යා අංශයේ බොහොම දක්ෂ ශිෂ්‍යයෙක්. ඉතින් මම දැනගන්න කැමතියි ඔබෙන් මොන වගේ මේ අදහස්ද තියෙන මේ විද්‍යා අංශය ගැන?
ඔව් ඇත්තටම ඉතින් අපේ ඉස්කෝලේ විද්‍යා අංශය කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම මෙතනට එන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය පෙළ ඉහළින්ම සමත් වෙලා දක්ෂයෝ ටිකක්. ඒ වගේම තමයි ඉතින් ඉතින් අපේ ඉස්කෝලේට එනවා හොඳට ඕ ලෙවල් කරලා ඉතින් එනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි ඉතින් අපි අර හිතුවට වඩා ලොකු සපෝට් එකක් හම්බ වෙනවා. දැන් ඇත්තටම අපේ ඉස්කෝලේට දැන් අවුරුදු 120ක් සම්පූර්ණ. එතකොට ඒකත් ලොකු වැඩ කටයුතු ටිකක් කරා. ඉතින් දැන් මේ වැඩසටහනේ වුණත් ඇත්තටම අපි ගොඩක් මහන්සි වුණා තාරකා විද්‍යා සංගම විදියට. ඒ වගේම තමයි අපේ විද්‍යා සංගමෙත් ලොකු සපෝට් එකක් හම්බ වුණා. එතකොට පන්තිවල ළමයි හැමෝම එක වගේ තමයි සහයෝගය දුන්නේ. ඒ වගේ තමයි ආචාර්ය මණ්ඩලය ගැනත් අනිවාර්යෙන්ම මතක් කරන්න ඕනි. මොකද අපේ ගුරුවරු ටික නැත්නම් අපිට මේ වගේ වැඩ කටයුතු ගොඩක් සාර්ථක වෙන්න කරගන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. වගේ 2013 මම හිතන්නේ ආයිලන්ඩ් ෆස්ට් බිහි වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දක්ෂයෝ බිහි වෙන්න මේ පාසලේ විද්‍යාංශයේ ගුරුවරු අපිට ගොඩක් උදව් කරන්නේ නැති කියලා මම හිතනවා.
දක්ෂයෝ බොහෝ පිරිසක් බිහි කරපු විද්‍යාංශය ඔබ වැනි අයෙක් සමග කතා බහ කරන්නට ලැබීමක් බොහොම සතුටක්. හොඳයි. අපි එහෙනම් තවත් සුවිශේෂී අංග කීපයකින් ඉසව් කීපයකින් අද දවසේ මුණ ගැසෙමු. මොකද අද මහාචාර්ය රිචඩ් බී හුවර් මහතා සමග හොඳ හෝරා කීපයක් ගෙවෙයි කියන විශ්වාසය මම සිටිනවා. එහෙනම් සමුගන්නට අවසරයි. සුබ දවසක්.
Light is symbol of brightness and prosperity, as sunlight expels the darkness of the world. So, to light the traditional oil lamp, I would like to invite the guest of honor, Professor Richard B. Hoover, Dr. Aravinda Ravibhanu, the Provincial Director of Education, Mrs. MIDDC Eheliyagoda, the Zonal Director of Education, Mr. MPPP Veerasekara, the Principal of our school, Mrs. Shirani Kusum Disanayaka, the Assistant Principal of the school, one of the former teachers in Astronomical Society, one of the former teachers from Science section, the teacher in charge of the Astronomical Society, Mrs. Premila Jayaratna, the sectional head of Science section, Mr. Jainath Senanayaka, the President of Science Society, J.M. Chatumal Sandeepa, the President of the Astronomy Society, G.A. Pahan Randima, to proceed with that. Dr. Kamal Abewardena, UNA Sri Lanka. Thank you all. Our function is about to start. And yes, sir, we believe your words would set the perfect tone for our function. So let me invite the sectional head of the science section, Mr. Jayannath Senanayake, to deliver the welcome speech.
Today, our chief guest, Mr. Richard B. Hoover, former senior bioastronomer of the NASA Space Research Institute, and the first bioastronomer of the Asia, Dr. Aravinda Ravibanu, an alumni of our college, and Dr. Kamal Abewardana, Shuttle Mission Lanka UNA Sri Lanka, and all the guests present, Madam Principal, Deputy Principal, Assistant Principals, is head teachers of our head teachers of the sections, teachers of this college, teachers and students of visiting schools, our standing students of science section, astronomy and astronomy society, and present student of our school and astronomy society. Today is a very special day for our school, who come to this place to celebrate. That is a special occasion is greeted with obeisance. Also today we welcome our chief guest, Professor Richard B. Hoover, a bioastronomer who worked for 42 years at the NASA Space Research Institute, and the former student of this college, Dr. Aravinda Ravibanu, the first bioastronomer of Asia, and all the former students of the college who came to the event come with brotherhoods. Also the entire teaching staff, including the principal of this college, Miss Shirani Kusum Disanayaka, deputy and assistant principals will be welcome on this occasion. Also teachers and students of invited schools are also welcome on this occasion. I also welcome all the teachers, including Millavitiya sir, Dhammika Miss, Asoka Miss, Buddhapriya sir, Champa Miss, and others who have retired from this school, and all the teaching staff, including Nandasena sir, Samalata Miss, who have transferred of our school. This year is a special day for the science section, actually, because we have spent 15 years in this science section. For that purpose, this special day was organized for you all. Welcoming you all again, I bid farewell to this precious occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now it's my pleasure to invite the pilot of our school, who is working hard for us by spending her maximum energy for the future vision, the principal of our school, Mrs. Shirani Kusum Disanayake, to address the gathering.
Good morning, everybody. Fellow students, teachers, and esteemed guests. Today we gathered to celebrate wonder of science and boundless curiosity that drives human exploration. We are incredibly fortunate to have with us today a distinguished guest, Dr. Richard Hoover, an eminent astrobiologist. His pioneering work in the field of astrobiology has inspired countless scientists and dreamers around the world. My special thanks to Dr. Aravinda Ravibano, an old boy of our school, creating this wonderful event to us. He is a great asset to us. I highly admire his gratitude and thanks again, dear son. Dr. Hoover's research has taken us to the further reaches of our solar system and beyond. Our understanding of life and its potential extensions to the search for extraterrestrial life. Hoover has made significant contributions to the search for extraterrestrial life. His unwavering dedication to scientific inquiry and his passion for discovery are truly inspiring. Science is the foundation upon which our modern world is built. It is the engine of innovation, the key to solving global challenges, and the source of endless wonder. As students, we have the unique opportunity to explore the mysteries of the universe and contribute to the advancement of knowledge. I encourage all of you to embrace the spirit of inquiry and to pursue your scientific passions with energy. Let us be inspired Dr. Hoover's examples and strive to make a positive impact on the world. Through our scientific endeavors, always think well, analyze clearly, and do better things for social welfare. Try, explore, find new things and do better things always. You have wonderful future, my dear students. We hope that one day you will shine our school like Aravinda Ravibano. We give you strength for that. Thank you very much and have a nice day.
Thank you, Madam. I would be pleased to announce that the next one on the screen will be the greeting message sent by the International Ambassador of Beijing Forestry University, International College, China, Dr. Majda Oystein. Sorry for inconvenience happen. Most people are searching for path to success that is both easy and certain. Most paths are neither. So let's see the path that has brought him so far. A documentary about Professor Richard B. Hoover.
Welcome to an extraordinary journey through the career of Professor Richard B. Hoover, a trailblazer in space science, astrobiology, and extreme environments research.
Glad and proud to be with you today.
In 1966, Professor Hoover left his teaching post at the University of Arkansas to join the renowned Von Braun team at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. His contributions were pivotal in developing different
years of outstanding achievement. Eheliyagoda National College have really put print in the heart of all its students and have contributed to empower knowledge in Sri Lanka. Now also, I am very glad that we are today honoring the memory of the First Lady who have went to space. She have not only rewritten history, but also she have given us hope. She have proved that we can achieve everything we want if we work to empower our dreams. Also, we have with us one of the most outstanding researchers of all time. He is a former NASA physicist, Professor Richard Hoover. He have contributed to science, he have contributed to build the future actually of space science and research, and he is with us today honoring us, and we are very lucky to have him with us. So thank you very much, Professor Richard Hoover, for this very valuable empowerment. Let me tell you, Professor, that I am super excited to see much more collaboration between you and Dr. Arvinda, as well as Ecostrom Sri Lanka. You honor it. And talking about Dr. Arvinda, our one and only CEO, very devoted scientist. Actually, I would like to take this special moment to congratulate you, Dr. Arvinda. I was there. I saw how much effort you put into work to build Eco-Astronomy Sri Lanka. I joined the effort. I was there, luckily. I was very lucky to contribute and to see how we make a dream come true. Let me tell you that Dr. Arvinda, he have contributed and allowed Sri Lankan students to discover space science. I am very glad that we are today celebrating this gorgeous achievement. Everything we did, it's worth it. Now as well, I need to mention that Eco-Astronomy Sri Lanka is not just an institute where our students can find high quality knowledge and interact with high quality scientists and researchers from all around the globe, but Eco-Astronomy Sri Lanka Institute is all about building a strong mindset to allow our students to develop their own critical thinking, because the world of today needs critical thinkers. And by the end, I would like to address a word to our students, our talented ones, and to congratulate them for their outstanding achievements. With that being said, I wish you all an excellent night.
Good morning. It is indeed an honor to be here with you this morning. I have never in my entire life received such a magnificent welcome and seen such a beautiful display of amazing dances, amazing music. This is an absolutely astonishing event, and I have to say I will remember it always as one of the highlights of my life. My life has been a life of science. I became interested in science as a young child. I was only in the 3rd grade when I got my first microscope. To me, that was amazing because here I had a window into a world that was astonishing. I saw rotifers and vorticelids devouring diatoms and amoeba and paramecia. It was a complete jungle on a microscope slide sitting in front of my eyes. It was amazing to watch these tiny plants that we call diatoms with their organic matter inside and their chloroplasts, which allowed them to carry out photosynthesis. And in fact, we now know that diatoms are responsible for a profound amount of the oxygen, at least 30 to 40% of the oxygen that we breathe today. And those tiny plants spurred in me a seed of a love for science. In fact, it wasn't too long after that that I was astonished. I was absolutely amazed. And I went to the grass of the College of the Ozarks in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, to lie on the grass with Professor Beach and to watch something that was absolutely unbelievable and totally incredible. There above me, I saw an artificial satellite. This was on October 4th, 1957, when Sputnik 1 had just been launched by Russia. This was shocking to the entire world. There had been a space race. We had in the United States, the German rocket team, Werner von Braun and his team that had developed the first liquid fuel rocket to venture into space. That was the V2, which was launched in 1944. But we had never seen anything orbiting, circling the planet as an entirely new artificial moon. As I lay there and watched, I saw history being changed. Because for one thing, it meant that America had lost the space race to the Russians. And the reason of that is because there had been a great deal of jealousy about Werner von Braun, since he was not a natural-born American. He was from Germany. And a lot of people in the military did not want Dr. von Braun to have the honor of launching the first satellite. In fact, one of his last rockets that was launched before this, he had been ordered to not have any accidental launch of an Earth satellite. Well, when I look back on that, I think that was very, very unfortunate. But then when I reflect on it with science and recognition of the events that followed, I think it was incredibly fortunate that Werner von Braun and the American team lost the space race, because this inspired America to become much more enthusiastic and do a great deal more of commitment to developing the wonderful rockets that Dr. von Braun and his team were working with. At that point in time, they were still at the rocket range of the White Sands Missile Range, and shortly after that, they were moved to Huntsville, Alabama, to form the U.S. Army Missile Command, because it became very obvious that rocketry had the ability not only to explore space, which was what Dr. von Braun wanted to do passionately, but of course these were also devices that could be used for warfare, and so it was a matter of national security that the United States do a great deal of work in catching up with Russia. The amazing thing is not terribly long after that, Russia started launching other things like Belka and Strelka. They sent dogs into orbit. Sputnik 1 was just a small sphere that was transmitting radio waves, and as it beeped around, as it went around the Earth, it was clear that it was orbiting. But then, when Belka and Strelka were launched, these wonderful animals who were one of the first pioneers of spaceflight, they showed that human beings, that mammals, could actually survive the rigors of launch and re-entry. It was indeed another shock when we found that the Russians had then launched Yuri Gagarin, who became the first astronaut, first cosmonaut to orbit the Earth. And Yuri Gagarin's flight was absolutely pivotal in the formation of the American space program. As we saw the tremendous need of doing much further advancement, Wernher von Braun was called to NASA headquarters because shortly before that there had been an attempt with prior launches, and he was then given the direction that we should proceed immediately to launch astronauts into space. And shortly after that we had the first Mercury astronauts. The first flights, of course, were suborbital, but then ultimately the Gemini program was developed, and the Gemini program was primarily to learn ingress and egress. How do you transfer an astronaut from the capsule into the lunar excursion module? Because at that point in time, President Kennedy had committed to land astronauts on the moon by the end of the decade. This was astonishing because this meant we had to develop all of the instruments, all the technology, all of the knowledge to not just go to the moon, but to actually land humans on the moon and bring them back safely. I went to Henderson State University and knew that what I wanted to do was live a life of science. I wanted to become a cosmologist, so I studied a great deal of mathematics. I also loved physics and chemistry and biology and French. French was my favorite language aside from English. And after I got my degrees from Henderson State University, I went to Duke University for the National Science Foundation. It was my goal to become a cosmologist, and so I needed to know tensor analysis and in order to understand the fine points of general relativity. When I got there, my professor Hare wanted me to translate a book by Nikolai Bourbaki, the famous group of French mathematicians, and the book was on infinite dimensional vector spaces, but Professor Hare did not speak French, so I spent the time translating from French into English and struggling through the mathematics, which was an incredible chore. After I left Henderson and went to the University of Arkansas, I was working on X-ray diffraction. And while I was working there, I got a request from Dr. von Braun to come to the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center. I was going to be asked to leave the university where I was teaching an elementary course in physics, and I was making $1,200 a year, and the offer they made me was around $7,500 a year. I did some rather quick calculations and went to my professor and asked him if it would be okay for me to leave and let him get someone else to teach the rest of the course the next semester. And he said, "You have to." And I said, "I have to?" He said, "If you're so stupid you don't take an offer like that, you're much too dumb to teach a course in physics at the University of Arkansas." I realized that was the kind of invitation that I was looking for. So I left the University of Arkansas and went to work at the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, first working in X-ray diffraction and then working on the Apollo mission, which was the mission to the moon, our plan for landing astronauts on the moon. we were going to use a new kind of technology, lasers sent to the rocket to do laser tracking, communication, and guidance. We had developed the corner cube reflectors. Everything was on track for this, and the mirrors were actually mounted on the service module for the Apollo 8 mission when General Phillips made the decision that everything that was not absolutely essential had to be removed because of weight, because this was going to be the first time that human beings would attempt to orbit the moon and to see the side of the moon that is always kept away from the Earth because of the fact that the moon rotates on its axis once every 28 days and orbits the Earth once every 28 days, which is the reason we always see the same side of the moon. Well, that mission included Commander James Lovell, and Jim Lovell became a very dear friend of mine, and I have to say I was tremendously excited when the launch occurred, and after that I was able to go to all of the launches to the moon with my dear friend Frederick I. Ordway III, who was Chief Science Advisor and speechwriter for Wernher von Braun. The missions to the moon were astonishing because Fred Ordway and I and his entourage would sit there by the side of the vehicle assembly building, and we would watch as this giant Saturn V rocket, 5 F1 engines were ignited, giving 7.5 million pounds of thrust, pushing up on this 6 million pound vehicle. And as it lifted off and the sound reached us, our entire body would shake because it was such a thunderous noise produced. In fact, when they did the testing of the F1 engines at the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, my windows would rattle. On a couple of occasions they broke, and this tremendous sound from the Saturn V engines could be heard as far away as Birmingham, Alabama, which is about 90 miles to the south. So we developed this program. We had wonderful astronauts flying to the moon and bringing back lunar regolith. Now, it's intriguing that I have with me samples of lunar regolith that were manufactured for the purpose of trying to understand how the wheels of the lunar rover that was being planned would react in this airless environment and trying to move the vehicle through this incredible material called lunar regolith. It is intriguing that Dr. Aravinda is actually making regolith similar to the regolith of Mars, and I hope to receive a sample of this before I go home, and I will present him with my sample of lunar regolith. The astronauts made astonishing discoveries. They carried with them the Lunar Laser Retroreflector Array, and that made it possible to determine the distance from the Earth to the Moon to an accuracy of about an inch. Then, when the Apollo 15 mission was launched, a bigger array was carried to the Moon, and that array was put and pointed back at the Earth's surface, and a larger telescope called the Apache Point Optical Lunar Laser Observatory in Apache Point, New Mexico. NASA loves acronyms, so APOLLO, the first letters of the name, spelled out Apollo, which was perfectly appropriate for a program to investigate the exact distance from the Earth to the Moon. The Apache Point Optical Lunar Laser Observatory was used with a much higher power telescope than what was used in the original studies, and much finer pulses of laser light, and that it made it possible to determine the distance from the Earth to the Moon to an accuracy of plus or minus 1 millimeter. You're going some 240,000 miles there and 240,000 miles back, and you know the distance to plus or minus a millimeter. That was an astonishing result because that made it possible to determine big G, the universal constant of gravitation, to a high degree of accuracy, and to distinguish between Einstein's theory of relativity and superstring theory. After that, I started working on the ATM experiment SO56 X-ray telescope, and we took 25,000 X-ray images of the sun from the Skylab mission. And then we started developing new kinds of X-ray telescopes called multilayer telescopes that work not by glancing angles of incidence, but rather by normal incidence by using the phenomena of Bragg diffraction. You would put down layers of high atomic number material like tungsten or tungsten carbide and low atomic number material like carbon. And when the X-rays went through this array of tungsten carbide and carbon layers, as it did so, if they were exactly made to high precision by Bragg diffraction, you would get reflection back in a single wavelength of X-rays. That made it possible for us to develop what we call the multispectral solar telescope array, which simultaneously looked at the sun in high resolution at many different wavelengths. And that made it possible to understand the nature of the solar chromosphere, the photosphere, and the corona, and to get the first high-resolution images of coronal loops and make the discovery that coronal loops were actually of constant cross-section. They were like ropes instead of, as the theoreticians had modeled for years, that they were narrow at the foot points and became wide as they approached the apex. So a great deal of new information was obtained and continues to be obtained by the use of multilayer telescopes that are now being flown on major observatories for solar research from many, many different countries around the world. The 1996, David McKay made the astonishing announcement that he had found evidence of nanofossils in a meteorite from Mars. I was surprised that everyone seemed to be excited about this because I had known for a long time that there were microfossils in meteorites, and it turns out that I was one of the few people that knew that, or at least thought they knew that, because the early studies had been considered wrong, had been debunked because of the work of others that complained that what the people in the 1960s were seeing was actually nothing more than contamination. Well, I got a piece of the Murchison meteorite and put it under the scanning electron microscope because I realized science and knowledge must be based on solid observational information rather than belief, and you must also always be skeptical of what people say, because for literally thousands of years it was believed that the planet Earth was the center of the universe, and all of the stars and all of the galaxies and all of the other planets and moons revolved around the Earth. Then with the Copernican revolution, it was realized that this tremendously long existent paradigm had been completely wrong. Well, here was the same case here. We were finding astonishing things about the possibility of life, even though the scientific community had concluded that this was not correct. And many in America still believe that the evidence for life beyond Earth has not yet been obtained. Well, I disagree with that. And the reason I disagree with that is because in 1997, right after David McKay made this announcement, I thought, well, the best way to find out whether this is correct or not is to look. Well, I couldn't get my hands on a meteorite from Mars. They were very, very precious and very rare. But the people in the 1960s had reported discovery of microfossils in meteorites from comets, primarily the Orgueil and Ivuna meteorites. And I couldn't get Orgueil or Ivuna because they are also tremendously precious and very rare. But I was able to get a carbonaceous chondrite known Murchison. I paid $100 for a tiny little piece, about a gram, less than a centimeter on a side. I broke it open and put it under the scanning electron microscope, and literally within minutes started seeing a little mushroom-shaped body that looked like a microfossil. Well, Sir Robert Ross had reported finding similar things back in 1962 when he did studies of the meteorite, right after George Claus and Bartholomew Nagy had reported determining that there might be biology in the meteorite. So here was a mushroom-shaped thing like what had been found by Sir Robert Ross, the keeper of botany of the British Museum, and this was wonderful. We had discovered evidence for extraterrestrial life in this meteorite, but we wanted to get exactly a perfect picture. This was very tiny, so we were perfectly at centering it. We were using 28,000 electron volts to excite the radiation from the sample, and we were magnifying it 30,000 times, and all of a sudden, there was the fossil I was looking at just simply vanished, and it left a little hole in the rock. I thought, oh, we had got it so hot that we had vaporized it. This was kind of shocking to me, but it was perfectly logical. But here we found an extraterrestrial alien, and the first thing we did is we hit it with a ray gun, and we vaporized it. Well, I told my colleague not to worry. We found this thing in only 30 to 40 minutes. There have got to be literally thousands of them in these meteorites. Well, I was wrong. Since that point in time, in 1996, I've studied enormous numbers of hours on the Murchison meteorite and many others, and I have never again seen anything like that at all. So the only one that I had in my hands I destroyed. But that was okay, because shortly after that we started finding big filaments, beautiful filaments that had the detailed characteristics of cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are typically thought of as photosynthetic algae. They're abundant all over the Earth. They appeared on Earth some 3.6 to 3.8 billion years ago, only shortly after the planet Earth cooled to the point that liquid water oceans could be sustained on the surface. So we found many, many fragments of cyanobacteria and beautiful and well-preserved filaments. After that, we started studying the Orgay meteorite, and we found many wonderful things in Orgay. In 2011, in 2012, I received a phone call one morning about 3 a.m. from a lady at, I think the TV station was News First, wanting to do a Skype interview at that point in time. I explained to her that I wasn't exactly pressed for a Skype interview at that point in time. Could we perhaps do it later? And so we agreed to do it some 3.5 hours later for it to be on the evening news. And then I called Professor Wickramasinghe to ask what was going on. And he told me that a meteorite had fallen in the area of Polonnaruwa district of Sri Lanka, and that people studying it at the Medical Research Institute had found that it contained diatoms. Oh, to me that was amazing, because I had written with Sir Fred Hoyle that these kinds of meteorites might in fact contain diatoms because they're the dominant life forms in the polar regions. They live in ice, they're able to survive in ice and eat organics while they're living in ice, even though normally they carry out photosynthesis. Well, I talked to this lady, and her questions were about diatoms, and I told her some details, and then I was promised that I would soon receive a sample of the meteorite, and the director of the Medical Research Institute sent me a nice piece of the Polonnaruwa stones, and I started breaking them and putting them under my visible light microscope immediately, and lo and behold, there were many diatoms in these stones. Well, to me, this was absolutely wonderful, because it was essentially a dream come true. And something like a week and a half later, I flew to Cardiff, Wales, and spent a couple of weeks with Professor Wickramasinghe studying these meteorites on their scanning electron microscope. And we not only found many diatoms, but strange exotic things that we've never seen before and that no one can identify. In fact, yesterday we were with some brilliant scientists in Sri Lanka, and they were unable to give any idea as to what these organisms were, but they agreed with me that they were definitely biological. So here I am to be here. It's wonderful to be here on this occasion of the planting of the tree in honor and memory of Valentina Tereshkova, who had the honor of being the first woman in space. But I also came here to go back to Eheliyagoda and the Polonnaruwa district in the hopes that I may be able to get some other samples of these precious meteorites. These stones I consider to be the Rosetta Stones of life because they show such an amazing array of life forms, and it is absolutely no doubt that they are extraterrestrial. We have strong reason to believe that they came from comets. And they not only contain exotic things that we've never seen before, but they contain, as we just discovered a little over 2 weeks ago, tube-dwelling diatoms, and they're actually going into the rock itself when the rock is broken. So this provides absolute conclusive proof that they are indigenous and extraterrestrial, and so they are showing the most incredible thing of all, and that is life exists beyond Earth, and amazingly, much of the life beyond Earth is exactly identical to life on Earth. Now, one might say, well, that means it came from Earth. Well, actually, it doesn't. And the reason it doesn't is because when we look at Earth organisms, we don't really know where they came from. And in fact, if a comet came through the plumes of the icy moon of Jupiter, Europa, or the plumes of Enceladus, which is the icy moon of Saturn, and picked up some spray of water coming out of the ocean of Europa or Enceladus, that water might have contained living diatoms, and they could have been frozen into the comet, and then pieces of it fell into the Earth's atmosphere and oceans 20 or 30 million years ago, and the organisms said, oh, this is a nice place, let's just call it home. So the point is, we really do not know where, when, or how life originated. What we now know, though, is that life is unbelievably complicated. There are enzymes, like the OMP enzyme that contains 270 amino acids, and every one of them has to be exactly correct in the right place, and you have 20 to choose from. So the probability of getting one OMP enzyme by reactions in the ocean is 1 divided by 20 to the 270th power, which is a very, very small number. But then, in order for us to live, and in order for all cells to live, you also need the Titin enzyme and many, many others. But Titin is the largest enzyme known. It has 34,350 amino acids, and every one of them has to be exactly the precise one. So the chance of getting one Titin molecule is 1 divided by 20 to the 34,350th power. You look at that and you say that number is absolute zero. I look at that and I say that is scientific proof for the existence of the deity. So I have to tell you that my science has led me to a greater understanding and a greater appreciation of the mystery of life and the mystery of the universe and the great mysteries of God. With that, I thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Your words are really impressive and admirable. And in meantime, we invite you to stay for a stage for a while, sir. I'd like to call upon the principal of our school, Mrs. Shirani Kusum Disanayaka, to preside over the souvenir to show our gratitude as presence Eheliyagoda National College means a lot to us. Thank you all. I would be pleased to announce that the next one on the screen will be the greeting message sent by the International Ambassador of Beijing Forestry University, International College, China, Dr. Majda Oysetin.
Respected researchers and scientists, dear teachers, students and friends, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Director Academic of Ecoastronomy Sri Lanka, and I am really glad and proud to be with you today and to address a word. Actually, let me take this special occasion to address my deepest and sincere wishes of glory and prosperity to our wonderful Eheliyagoda National College. Actually, 120 years of outstanding achievement. Eheliyagoda National College have really put print in the hearts of all its students and have contributed to empower knowledge in Sri Lanka. Now also, I am very glad that we are today honoring the memory of the First Lady Academic of Ecoastronomy Sri Lanka, and I am really glad and proud to be with you today and to address a word. Actually, let me take this special occasion to address my deepest and sincere wishes of glory and prosperity to our wonderful Eheliyagoda National College. Actually, 120 years of outstanding achievement. Eheliyagoda National College have really put print in the hearts of all its students and have contributed to empower knowledge in Sri Lanka. Now also, I am very glad that we are today honoring the memory of the First Lady who have went to space. She have not only rewritten history, but also she have given us hope. She have proved that we can achieve everything we want if we work to empower our dreams. Also, we have with us one of the most outstanding researchers of all time. He is a former NASA physicist, Professor Richard Hoover. He have contributed to science, he have contributed to build the future actually of space, science and research. And he is with us today. Cover space science. I am very glad that we are today celebrating this gorgeous achievement. Everything we did, it's worth it. Now as well, I need to mention that Ecoastronomy Sri Lanka is not just an institute where our students can find high quality knowledge and interact with high quality scientists and researchers from all around the globe. But Ecoastronomy Sri Lanka Institute is all about building a strong mindset to allow our students to develop their own critical thinking, because the world of today needs critical thinking. And by the end, I would like to address a word to our students, our talented ones, and to congratulate them for their outstanding achievements. With that being said, I wish you all excellent.
Thank you for blessing us with your kind words, madam. Up next, prepare to be amazed by traditional dance performance presented by students of science section. Let's give them a big hand.
මගින් වැඳි රන් රස බෝමා රන් තිසරුන් නැත එළදෙන මාලා කුළුණු කුලින් වට සුකුමල පෙම්මා අනගරංගාමයි හදනම්මා අනගරංගාමයි හදනම්මා
Thank you all. It was truly mesmerizing. Let me call upon Dr. Aravindra Ravibanu, who truly has set a benchmark for multi-hyphenated achievements and, of course, his endeavors at such a young age. Command attention to person they are and the upbringing they had. As well, Dr. Aravindra Ravibanu is an analog astronaut and CEO of Eco-Astronomic Global Network in Morocco, USA, and India. He is involved in analyzing NASA's ETR images of Meridiani planums. Dr. Aravindra Ravibanu innovated radioactive artificial Mars regolith by using the petrological data of NASA's Mars Curiosity rover. So, please put your hands together for him.
Right, good morning everyone. My dearest friend and ex-NASA scientist, Professor Richard Hoover, and the principals of Eheliyagoda National Schools, and my dear teachers, and my co-collaborator, Dr. Kamal Abhivardhana, and also like my dear students. I think like today is a great day for the Eheliyagoda National School. So after we have been 60 years later, so we have another gigantic scientist in our school. To be honest, like if you go back to the couple of years ago, so I was sitting over there, the DS Nayaka building, the top corner left. I was in the grade 6. I'm reading a kind of newspaper called Mihira. As I remember, early 2000. So there is a news article called there is a Mars. And even I don't know what it was exactly Mars. The life on the Mars. And also on that moment, the writer very nicely described about a Professor Richard Hoover. Because of he had been declared very interesting explorations by using the Vikings missions in 1976. So like to be honest, I never thought like after 25 years later, I have been having the opportunity to working with the one of the gigantic scientists like a Professor Richard Hoover. The most important thing, how should we have been began? So you know, I was remember like once the Professor Hoover just said me while he joined into the in the NASA, Dr. Werner von Braun is his senior. It means like the person who created a Saturn V rocket to head into the moon. So like Richard Hoover was there. So then the pretty interesting thing is the very earlier the Werner von Braun started his career as a taxi driver. That's a very amazing thing. Even the Richard Hoover just telling me that a very interesting and fascinating story. I was just super surprised. My goodness, the one who created a Saturn V rocket to go to Mars, starting from as a taxi driver. You see, that's why I want to tell you. Even I'm also just sitting over there as a grade 6 students in this school, but we can just reach to any kind of places, even to the moon, even to the Mars. Currently, I'm just working with the Mars Curiosity rover to understanding about the Meridioniperium. There's another spotlight place on the Mars. The most important questions while you are just reaching, even if it is a scientist, if it is a doctor, engineer, what kind of communities that you should select it. So you see, this is the image that we have been rendering by using the NASA Mars Curiosity rover, and my team have been just assembling this image. This is not from planet Earth, this is from the Mars. So I'm super surprised. I have been just showing these images to the many of scientists who are working in the NASA, Europe space agencies, but while I was just talking to the Professor Richard Hoover, he's the only one just expressing something like multidisciplinary idea. He's an astrobiologist, he's an astrophysicist, even he know about the astrochemistry. So that's the things we need. The most of students and the researchers in this country, while they are studying the chemistry, they are studying only chemistry. If they are interested in physics, they are interested in only physics. It's not enough. Because of the most important fact, what are the things that you need? You don't need that much knowledge. Only facts that you need is a curiosity. If you have curiosity, you can do anything. Because we can just absorb from anywhere that knowledge. You see, while we are considering the last 20 years, there is no YouTube, there is no Google, even there is no emails. But you have to remember, these people like Professor Richard Hoover, they sent the rocket to the moon without any kind of those technologies. So he's something like a multidisciplinary character, and he know the technology in 1960 to the 2024. That's why even early morning my brother asked me like, now he's working in the iPad. Okay, he's using iPhones. But if you go back to the early 90s, there is no even the mobiles. So that's the most fascinating thing, how we gonna adapt into the community and how we gonna sense into the each every people. That's the most important fact. So like, while I was describing this type of the images, so there are many similarities that we can just find out from planet Earth, not only the Mars. Because of, you see, so if you really want to understand in the Mars, what is the first thing that you should do? You should know about the planet Earth and the biology in here, and the chemistry in here, and the physics in here. Then it will be really supportive to you to get to much more understanding about the Mars. So these all the fragments that I show you in here, in planet Earth. This is from the Morocco, and I have been declared something from the Vietnam and the China. So there are a lot of similarity while we are just doing Earth-Mars analog. It means like we are just trying to compare our planet Earth to the Mars. So that's the simple things analog astronauts and the analog scientists are doing. On that occasion, if you don't know anything about the format of the life, it's super hard to explain. I have been asking from the many of scientists, what is the definitions of the life? But I have only few couple of strategic answer. One from Professor Richard Hoover. All the time, what he expressed in here, there are some points you can see. So if you really know these type of the biosignatures, astrobiology, and some solid data, so these are the evidence of the life. But while we are just talking about even the early 19, we are still searching life. But just go to the Google and search what is the definitions of life, who have been just explore these type of life formations. Then you will see only few couple of scientists are thoroughly discovered, and they are confidently said, yes, there is a life beyond the planet Earth. Now, in today, you can see Professor Richard Hoover, one of them. Because of, while I was discussed with the many of scientists, I think like last 20 years, he is the only one just confidently say, no, there should be a life. And this is the way. And that's the most impressive thing. He nicely explained it, how those meteorites have been just blended into the our space, and how those microbial type of items are go inside of those meteorites. This is super impressive. You see, like right now we are Homo sapiens. So we are still evaluating. We know only that we have some 5 fingers, 1 head. We don't know what will happen next 100,000 years later. There are some of like even the neurological evolutions. So that's why even the Professor Richard also all the time said, no, we have to think. You have to be curious. Even after you become a scientist, you said like, yes. Now you have been just achieved your target. No, it's not like that. You have to keep doing that case. Even right now, the Professor Richard Hoover is 81 years old. You see, still he's traveling all around the world, searching that stuff and trying to do something like new. You see, like if you go back to the early 1000 years, there was a theory called a geocentric theory. I believe like everyone just heard. Because of all the other planets have been just rotated and revoluted around in our planet Earth. But people have been just believe it thousands of years. But it's not wrong. Is it wrong on that time? No. They just accepted it. But now you have to think how much effect that scientists have been just put it to the change in that kind of concepts, to the heliocentric models. Yes, of course, right now we are just revoluting around the sun. But it is not right if we go back to the early thousands. That is the case that Professor Richard Hoover trying to do. Yes, of course, there is a life out there, and we have to keep working on this case, and we have to find out some solid data, and we have to establish a community who working with this case. That's why we need people like you. Even though any of countries, even though Sri Lanka, we are just lack of the astrobiologists, but we do have a lot of stuff, the paleontology. Even we are in Sabaragamuwa, so there are a lot of fossils data are available. Those fossils data, it's really important to get much more understanding about the paleontology and the life beyond the planet Earth, the astrobiology. So like I'm not going to be just giving something like lecturer. So like, because of today, what I want to show you is like, if you think that one day you want to head in somewhere as your ambition, definitely you can do it. But you should be passionate. Don't be just a doctor. Don't be just an engineer. You have to do it by yourself. It should be coming from inside of yourself. So then you will be a unique teacher. Okay? Then you will be a maybe unique driver. So we need that a unique people. For why? Making more strategic country. So I will show you a few couple of images why I'm keep telling about the visionary. So I was remember while I was just working with this Indian Aerospace Agency. So there is a particular guy. So let me share that image. So in here also I'm just representing some of like our expeditions area in the Kashmir and the Mongolia. So these are the things what we are doing with the analogs to understand in Mars. First, we are going some extreme places like a high altitude mountain, extreme colon places, and then it will be really supportive. Even the Professor Richard Hoover, once he was the North Poles and doing some tremendous work. I believe like he's on that time 70 years old. You see, even though that 70 years old, he was in the North Pole. For why? To prove that concept. This is very important. And even don't ever think astronomy is just for the watching over the sky. You know, the many of innovation that we have been done, it is available in medical industry, engineering industry, food industry. The very primary innovations, it is for maybe astronomy and the aerospace science. But later on, those innovations have been applied to the different industries. Even in Sri Lanka, there are some of available. And the most important fact, how you're going to select a right person and the right supervisor and the right teacher while you are heading to your dream. That is the most important fact in Sri Lanka. I believe like I have a best teachers in this school. That's why I'm here today. I'm truly proud. Many of teachers are sitting over there because of if you are just back to the 2008 and 2009, they did a remarkable job. So we don't need to play that huge actions while we're at the universities because of the things you are going to be absorbed at the school. That's the fundamental. So if you have a fundamentals, then easily you can just explain anything. So like, you see, this one also not from the Mars. This is one of our analog station. You see, after we just thoroughly studying those type of things, we have created some simulations, including the Martin regoliths, even the lunar regoliths. So those things are really important to NASA scientists, ESA scientists, before they head into the lunar and the Mars, because of thoroughly we can get much more understanding. You know, I think like before 3 years ago, at the COVID period, China have been done a tremendous explorations to the moon. They have been declared a new element. You know, and nowadays that element will be really supportive to generate a water. We don't know how much minerals are available in this planet Earth. We don't know exactly how much minerals are available in this universe. But these stuffs really important. Even though, you know, every elements which is available on our planet Earth, it is made up from our star. That is what our Professor Richard Hoover and the Fred Hoyles, these are the people who just firstly explores this world. It means like if you know really about our sun, you can get much more understanding about the life. You see, then the people are just thought like, oh, no, we don't need to study about the sun. But we have to understand in it because of it's depend on all the photosynthesis reactions and the green color grasses. So you see, it's generating some oxygens. So without our sun, we can't do it. That's the sustainability. So if the country exactly know how much potentials of the solar radiation will be explored in this year, they know how to reduce the sum of like other energies. Singapore, Vietnam, China, currently they are doing it. So you see, this is an industry. This is not a hobby. That's what I want to tell to our school students and the invited school students. If you're truly interested to come into this subject, be a professional. be a fashionable, then you can easily reach your target. And most important thing, be a visionary. That's why you have to select the most fashionable teachers to learning. I'm not sure the country has been just thoroughly changed better than the last decade. So the vision that they are putting inside of your mind, it's very important where you go. So you can be a doctor, I know it. You can be an engineer. Maybe like you can be any kind of professional. But you should be something like a unique person, a worldwide person. So that's the generation we need for next decade. Because of, I believe like even our childhood, they said like Sri Lanka is not a development country. But every day we can't say it. We have to enter into the even space industry, creating such innovation and put it into that market. So that's the way. So like that's why in here, so you can see the some of like regolith that we have been developing in South Asia region. Now it's distributing to the whole the world to understanding about the Mars. So why? Even the India is thoroughly interested this case. So the last time, this is the person that I informed you the earlier, so Abdul Kalam. You know, after he become a president of the India, what he did? He did rule the country. Yes, he supportively ruled the country, and same time he did very interesting work. He went to all the schools, and he doing a lot of outreach and the awareness for the Indian students in early 17th and 19th. So that's why India in today like this, because of the visionary people should talk into the school students, not a university students, because we have to start in from our nursery, then the high school. So it's super hard to change in the brain concepts most of university students. So if you can just start in your career while you are at your school, definitely there's a huge probability to win. So that's the something like a simple thing. I just want to tell you, I'm not going to do some sort of like a lecturer on today. And at the end, what I want to tell to all the students, you guys should proud, because of on our period, we don't have that much opportunity to even talking to the NASA scientists. You see, I have been just tried many of time to even send in the emails to the NASA scientists. On that time, there is no response. I was remember there are a lot of postals documents will receive to the Dr. Kamal on that time, and because of there is no email. But today, it's a fully globalizations. You can just talk into anyone. Now you can see a iconic legend in front of you. So I'm just looking, any of students from this audience, any of students will become something like young inspiring scientist in the future, and who's going to be joined to my team in the very first time. So that's my wish. So because of there are very lack of scientists, which is we are talking about the astrobiology field. So like at the end, I would like to give my gratitude to the ECC, including our principal and also the science section. And then again, I'm truly proud to see all the early faces of my teachers, and sitting over there, my chemistry teachers and the bio teacher, and also like my physics teacher. And again, my dearest friend and my brother. That's how Professor Richard Dua is just calling me sometimes. Thank you very much, Professor Richard, to taking my invitation. And I believe like within next decade, we can generate much more professionals and visionary people. At the end, what I want to say is like, alut de notanana jatiya lowanagi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I hope you all enjoyed his speech as much as I did. Now, without any more delay, let's drown out the regular world and dive together in universe where expressions reign supreme. So, put your hands together for graceful dancers of school dancing section. Thank you for that enlightenment performance. Once again, let's concentrate on hearing another greeting message sent by Dr. Janith Veerasinghe from Australian National University. And you all are going to witness a previously unencountered experience here. An introductory video clip about a scholarship program, Cable Space Training Program, undergone by Australian National University. We are thankful to Dr. Aravinda Ravibanu for making us aware on this. Thank you.
අයිබෝන් ඇහැලියනගඩ මධ්‍ය මහාවිද්‍යාලයේ අද මේ පැවැත්වෙන තාරකා විද්‍යා වැඩසටහන වෙද ඔබ බොහොම සාදරයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා. අද මම මේ රැඳිලා ඉන්නේ කැන්බරා නගරයේ ආශ්‍රිතව පිටලා තියෙන NASA Deep Space
අයිබෝන් ඇහැලියනගඩ මධ්‍ය මහාවිද්‍යාලයේ අභ්‍යවකාශ සංනිවේදන මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ වැඩසටහන ඔබ බොහොම සාදරයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා. අද මම මේ රැඳිලා ඉන්නේ කැන්බරා නගරයේ ආශ්‍රිතව පිටලා තියෙන NASA Deep Space Complex එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් NASA ගැඹුරු අභ්‍යවකාශ සංනිවේදන මධ්‍යස්ථානයත් එක්ක. NASA ආයතනයේ සතුව මේ වාගේ මධ්‍යස්ථාන තුනක් පිළිලා තියෙනවා. එකක් තියෙන්නේ එක්සත් ජනපදයේ, අනිත් එක තියෙන්නේ යුරෝපයේ ස්පාඤ්ඤයේ, අනිත් එක පිළිලා තියෙන්නේ කැන්බරා නගරයේ ආශ්‍රිතව ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවේ. මගේ මේ පිටිපස්සෙන් තියෙන විශාල රේඩියෝ ඇන්ටනාවට කියන්නේ DSS 43 ඇන්ටනාවක් කියලා. මේක මීටර් 70ක විශ්කම්භයකින් යුක්තයි. අද දිනේ ගත්තොත් අද සැප්තැම්බර් 7 වෙනිදා මේ මොහොත වෙනකොට මේ ඇන්ටනාව සම්බන්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ දැනට පෘථිවියට ඈතින්ම පිහිටලා තියෙන අභ්‍යවකාශ යානය වෙන Voyager 2 යානයත් එක්ක. Voyager 2 යානය ගැන තවදුරටත් සඳහන් කරනවා නම් ඒක තියෙන්නේ පෘථිවියට කිලෝමීටර් බිලියන 26.5ක් දුරින්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ආලෝක පැය වලින් සඳහන් කරොත් ආලෝක පැය 19කට ආසන්න කාලයක්. ඒක තවත් විදිහකට පැහැදිලි කරනවා නම් අපි මේ චන්ද්‍රිකා මේ ඇන්ටනාව පාවිච්චි කරලා අපි Voyager 2 යානයට සිග්නල් එකක් යවුවොත් එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි ඒකට පණිවිඩ තරංගයක් යවුවොත් ගුවන්විදුලි තරංග හරහා ගුවන්විදුලි තරංග අභ්‍යවකාශය හරහා යන්නේ ආලෝකයේ වේගයට සමාන වේගයකින් ඒ පණිවිඩය ලැබෙන්න යනවා පැය 19ක කාලයක්. ඊට පස්සේ අනික් අතට යානයෙන් අපිට පණිවිඩයක් යවුවොත් ඒක අපිට ලැබෙන්නත් යනවා පැය 19ක කාලයක්. ඉතින් එච්චර දුරකින් තමයි Voyager 2 යානය පිහිටලා තියෙන්නේ. Voyager 2 යානයත් එක්ක තමයි මේ මොහොතේ මේ තියෙන DSS 43 ඇන්ටනාව සම්බන්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ වගේ තවත් ඇන්ටනා කීපයක් තියෙනවා. ඔබට මේ සියල්ලම සජීවව දකින්න පුළුවන් අන්තර්ජාලය හරහා කොයි ඇන්ටනාව මොන අභ්‍යවකාශ යානයක් සමගමද මේ මොහොතේ sannivedanaya කරමින් තියෙන්නේ කියන එක.
ඉතින් අද මේ වැඩසටහනත් එක්ක සම්බන්ධ වෙලා ඉන්න ඔයාලට අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා මේ වගේ අභ්‍යවකාශනයක් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියන දේ ගැන හොඳ දැනුමක් ලබා ගන්න අපි ඉදිරියට කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන වැඩමුළුවක් කරා. මේකෙදි අපි Kerbal Space Program කියන පරිගණක වැඩසටහන හරහා රොකට් එකක්, අභ්‍යවකාශ යානයක්, රෝවර් එකක් වගේ හදලා ඒක අභ්‍යවකාශ ගත කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන දේ ගැන සාකච්ඡා කරනවා. ඉතින් මේක පරිගණක වැඩසටහනක් එහෙම නැත්නම් පරිගණක ක්‍රීඩාවක් වගේ වුණාට ඇත්තටම අභ්‍යවකාශ යානයක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරද්දී අපි සලකලා බලන්න ඕන භෞතික විද්‍යාත්මක කරුණු, තාක්ෂණික ගැටලු මේ වගේ දේවල් සිමියුලේට් කිරීමක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ප්‍රතිනිර්මාණය කිරීමක් තමයි මෙතනදී සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් අපිත් සමග රැඳිලා ඉන්න කියලා ඔබ සියලු දෙනාටම
If you don't celebrate those, they can pass you by. Some memories are unforgettable, remaining ever vivid and heartwarming. One of the best ways to make yourself happy in present is to recall happy time from past. So let's witness a video clip of past pupils of science section.
The students of Eheliyagoda Central College. We are talking to you from different parts of the world.
Today, we want to share something special with you.
Welcome to an
You have just heard from one of the greatest scientists, Professor Richard Hoover.
Before we talk about the future, let's remember where we all start.
We began right here at Eheliyagoda Central College, in those classrooms, on that playground, our dreams were born.
chance to explore, discover, and achieve.
We were lucky ones, filled with questions, curiosity, and dreams.
Today, we've reached different heights working in various fields across the globe.
From science to engineering, from business to art, we have made our mark.
But we achieved this because of strong roots we planted at this school.
Eheliyagoda Central College is more than a school. It's where our journey began.
We never forgot where we came from.
It's the place that shaped us, that guided us, and that believed in us.
And now we want to remind you that your journey also begins here.
You have everything you need to succeed right here in this school.
Dream big, work hard, and never stop believing in yourself.
The universe is vast, full of possibilities, and it's waiting for you.
And today, world-best scientist is sitting right in front of you.
Take this moment as a reminder of what you can achieve.
We started in the same place, and now we are reaching for the stars.
The future is in your hand. Make it extraordinary.
Remember, Eheliyagoda Central College is where it all began. Now it's your turn to carry the torch, to explore, to discover, to achieve. We believe in you.
Thank you all for taking us your past. Yes, allow me to invite an old boy of the science section, a lecturer of Kalaniya University, Mr. Tissara Patirana, to address the gathering.
First of all, I would like to mention dear Professor Richard Hoover, Dr. Arvind Rai Samaratna, our principal madam, dear Kamasa, sectional science sectional heads of Jainath Senanayaka sir. Actually, I give some message to our student. Nange Malli, keep in mind, as an old boy of the science section and my working background in the current situation, how this kind of event is valuable for you. This is not just an speech. I like to make this session as a discussion. So what is your opinion? If you have any answers, please raise your hand and give your answer. Why this kind of event is important for you? I'm not going to take much more time. First, I'd like to mention how this kind of event will helpful for you in your mind. This is not just for a university student. So my first question, how to do some research? How to do some research? First you have to find a good problem. If you are going to be a good researcher, the first thing, you should find a good problem statement. After that, you can give a proper literature review to find the existing possibilities, existing approaches, existing systems, existing technologies to manipulate this kind of problem statement. Understood? After that, we can find a proper aim. Proper aim. then you can build your own objectives to achieve your aim by splitting various types of on your research topic. I think you all have to face a research project in A-level period. So this will be very helpful for you. Then you can develop your own methodology to achieve the corresponding research objectives. This is the simple thing. Try to find out, as Aravind Ayya said, now modern world is a globalized. There are much more technologies like ChatGPT, Bard, Gemini, Google search engines. Those are truly available for you on your fingertips. Try to follow them. Try to find out the cutting edge technologies. My second mentioning point, why this kind of event is important for you. I start from the development of Sri Lanka. There is a huge technical gap between our developed countries from our country to developed countries. For instance, when I take a sum theory as a Sri Lankan, other country has practiced that kind of theory in before various type of that kind of usage. So this kind of technology gap can be eliminated by learning from the masters from the developed countries like this. These sessions will be very helpful for you. Understood? Okay, I'm not going to take much more time. Before I leaving, I have to mention some points with our science section. I only thank special members of our science section, former members of the our Eheliyagoda National College. Dharmapala Thero, I only mention you in this event. Kusum teacher, Janaka sir, Munasingha sir, Navagamuwa teacher, Gamini Rajadas sir, Ashoka teacher, Mutugala sir, Gunasingha sir, Kamal sir, Hemamali Rajaguru madam, Siripala sir, Nandasena sir, Lalana teacher, Gamini sir, Dhammika teacher, Indu teacher, Samanlata teacher, Vajira sir, Sinaratna sir, Sumedha teacher, Anil sir, Malati teacher, Sarath sir, and all astronomy members of the Eheliyagoda National School and all science section members. And finally, I again thankful Dr. Aravinda Raiban Sumaratnaya. Thank you very much for this occasion. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Now you all are going to witness a previously unencountered experience here, donating scholarships to Eheliyagoda National College. Thank you for donating scholarships. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words but to live by them. I now invite the head prefect of school, Jasiru Deumina Bandara, to deliver the word of thanks.
Guest of honor, Professor Richard B. Hoover, who graced the occasion as the chief guest. Principal Madam, my dear teachers, first pupils of the school, and my dear sisters and brothers. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Richard B. Hoover, who accepted our invitation and spent his valuable time. Next, my special thanks goes to Dr. Aravinda Ravibanu and his staff for giving us this kind of opportunity. Thank you very much, the Provincial Director of Education, the Zonal Director of Education, the Divisional Director of Education, the Commissioner of Eheliyagoda Police Station, who accepted our invitation and came to this event. I would like to express my gratitude to our principal and all the teachers who guided us for the success of this event. So, my thanks goes to the teacher from the guest schools, my dear sisters and brothers of those schools who accepted our invitation. Thank you so much the former teachers and past pupils of the science section and the Astronomy Society for your participation. Also, my thanks goes to the science teachers of the 6th 11th section who helped with this event. And Mr. Samira Premaratna, a past pupils of the science section, for his contribution to the refreshment. And also, I would like to express my thanks to the aesthetics section, IT section, the media unit, and the voice training club of the English unit. Thanks to the academic and non-academic staff of the school and all the parents who helped us. Our special thanks goes to the Science Society, Astronomy Society, and to our section who have worked hard for the success of this event. Finally, I would like to thank everyone who helped to make this event a success. Thank you.
We are extremely glad to have you all today to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Science Section of Eheliyagoda National College. After all, hard work pays off. Coming to the end of the day, on behalf of my team, I wish you every happiness, success, and peace. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic day ahead.
The students of Eheliyagoda Central College. We are talking to you from different parts of the world.
Today, we want to share something special with you.
You have just heard from one of the greatest scientists, Professor Richard Hoover.
Before we talk about the future, let's remember where we all start.
We began right here at Eheliyagoda Central College. In those classrooms, on that playground, our dreams were born.
Our school gave us chance to explore, discover, and achieve.
We were lucky ones, filled with questions, curiosity, and dreams.
Today, we have reached different heights working in various fields across the globe.
From science to engineering, from business to art, we have made our mark.
But we achieved this because of strong roots we planted at this school.
Eheliyagoda Central College is more than a school. It's where our journey began.
We never forgot where we came from.
It's the place that shaped us, that guided us, and that believed in us.
And now we want to remind you that your journey also begins here.
You have everything you need to succeed right here in this school.
Dream big, work hard, and never stop believing in yourself.
The universe is vast, full of possibilities, and it's waiting for you.
And today, world-best scientist is sitting right in front of you.
Take this moment as a reminder of what you can achieve.
We started in the same place, and now we are reaching for the stars.
The future is in your hand. Make it extraordinary.
Remember, Eheliyagoda Central College is where it all began. Now it's your turn to carry the torch, to explore, to discover, to achieve. We believe in you.